2. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome. We are the Four Storytellers, scratching deeper into the fabric of our lives to generate diverse stories and unique characters using our wildly individual and distinct voices. I'm Del Shores, and with me tonight or today, whenever you're watching this, Cindy Gilder, our amateur. How are ya?
I'm good. Hi.
Welcome back. And we have the beautiful, the lovely, our journalist, Ms. Nancy J.
Thank you so much.
Every book, every single book that is behind her. And
wrote most of
out the four, our philosopher, the amazing James Grady. Sometimes I want to say James Brady, but that's not right. It's James Grady.
And Del, what are you? You are our dramatist.
Oh, I'm the dramatist. That's right. I am the dramatist. So, well, speaking of dramatists, I was thinking about what do we talk about today? What do we talk about? And one of the things that is always asked of me from people who want to write, who want to tell their stories, is how do you start? And I start with characters. I always start with characters. I feel like that if I don't know my characters, I can't tell a story. Sure, sometimes I have an idea of what to do, but someone will come up to me and say, Del, I have a great idea for a series. It's set in a fast food restaurant. And I'm like, or I don't know what that is. You have to know who is in that fast food restaurant. So I want to know, y'all, how do y'all start? How do you start? Do you also start with character?
Well, taking your class and starting off with your class, in my whole life, I've had different premises for my dream romance novel to write, but it wasn't until learning from you and from James and Nancy and other people in your class and starting working on my characters that the premise I had in my mind actually came to life. Mm-hmm. And I created a character outline with pictures and descriptions and tidbits for myself to know to incorporate into the story. And from that outline and from those images came what I had today. If I didn't have it, I would not have.
And I know that because you are in the class that you've actually even returned and you scratched a little deeper. You wrote and then you go, no, I don't know enough about this character to continue to tell their story. I have a philosophy. There's no such thing as writer's block. It's just that you don't know your characters well enough and you get stuck.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So
Nancy,
word in our class.
Yeah, Nancy, how do you start with character? How do you start?
Well, I start with people I know. So character is kind of a given. Mm-hmm. And I think of, as I'm writing this memoir about me growing up, my parents and so on, certain situations come to mind and I just write those down. So I don't know if I guess mine is character driven, but it's a little different just because I feel like I am learning about them as I write, but they are concrete. I do know their horoscopes. I know when they were born. I know
well, you know everything about your characters because but you're finding out more about them as you're writing, which I love that.
Yes, and that's what's really fun. But I know James knows his characters are real people too. Once upon a time.
Well, and the thing that I thought about, Nancy, when you were talking is that the freedom that we get though is that while we may know everything about our characters externally, we don't know what's going on inside. And part of what you're discovering is you're recreating a version of your father that's different than the one you knew. Mm-hmm. It may be a truer version than the one you knew, but you're creating it. You're constructing it from evidence that now you're looking at from like perspective, And the same thing I think for me, I met a lot of these people. I didn't know them as well as you knew your father, but I also talked to them about each other and heard what they had to say about each other and how they recollected events differently. And like we've talked about before, the way that they each have their perspective on that event tells me a lot about the characters, and I can kind of reverse engineer, what's going on in their heads and what was happening to them at the time. So
I love that. So you actually have two versions of the truth.
Yes.
And they're different. And then you have to decide as the author, which is the version or a combination that you're going to tell.
Well,
And
the irony is that at least two of my characters are profoundly mentally ill, and so they have, over the course of time, told me very different versions of the same story.
So you're saying that they've told the same story,
but profoundly different. Like who was involved, what happened, why it happened. You know, sometimes if my grandmother was very clear-headed, I would get a much more objective view of what happened, and then other times there would be people there that I'd never heard that were there before. Were they really there? I don't know, but they were her enemies at the time, and so of course they were. So. You know,
she added to that's it's like, you know, my friendship with Leslie Jordan. I remember a story 20 years ago he told. They sort of evolved and got grander and bigger, and more players were there. And quite honestly, sometimes they're better now. I remember when I was a kid, I almost got in trouble with my mother because I said, "Mother, that's not the way it happened." And she wanted to chastise me, and then she said, "But isn't my version better?"
I love that.
So it wasn't Mark Twain. Never let the real story. It was your mom.
She was already fabricating stories when I was a little boy. So, you know, I thought I would do something really fun with y'all tonight. If y'all are game, Nancy, you and James have played this game with me before, and we've built collective characters together based on some story that I tell you, which may or may not be true, or it may be like, you know, James' mentally ill relative. True that, and some of it's not true. But Sydney, you've never gotten to play this.
No,
Okay, so here's what we do.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you a story. It's a short little story, fun little story. Happened somewhat, and then I am going to ask you to contribute and to build on the story, and we're going to show how you can keep scratching deeper and find more about the character and build. So this one we will build collectively. You can do this on your own, you know, by yourself, using your imagination. Because I often say, you know, I'm not really a writer, I'm a thief. So I find characters, and I wrote an entire play. My one-man show, 6 Characters, book play was about that. These are characters that I've met. I haven't put them yet into my work. They're sort of circling the block. So so here's the story. I was at the supermarket, you know, back in the day when we could go to the supermarket without a mask on. And I was in line, and there was this woman in front of me. And I'm going to describe her for you. She was very, very thin, like too thin, and wore one of those little polyester pantsuits that sort of the butt sagged a little bit. It was kind of a somewhere at one point it was probably lime green, but not anymore. And her skin was kind of gray looking. She looked like she probably smoked a lot, and I'm pretty positive, given what was on the conveyor belt, that she was a drinker, because on the conveyor belt were 20 cans of cat food, and they were those generic ones, those real cheap ones, like I don't know. There must be some company. It's like the leftovers. And somehow they just sell them to Ralph's. They don't. It's not. They're not there anymore. They used to have this blue stripe around them, and then next to that was a huge, the biggest bottle of vodka that you could buy, and that was also generic.
Okay.
As she is about to, now I am fascinated by her already. I'm thinking, oh my God, I love you. I need to have a conversation. But she was about to check out. And as she's about to check out, this little short Hispanic woman runs up in front of her from the, you know, not in line, but from the other way with a bag of potatoes. She throws them down on the counter and she goes, "I need to return these potatoes. They're rotten." And the cashier looked at her and said, "Well, you can't return potatoes. Do you have a receipt?" She goes, "No receipt. I need to look, rotten potatoes." She turns it up, and this woman that's in front of me turns and she goes, Oh my God. And so the cashier dealt with the woman. She said, I'm sorry, but we're not going to take those potatoes back. But if you have a problem, you have to go to customer service. She says, no, return it. The woman said, customer service over there. Gives her a little way. So she goes up and checks her out. She says, is there anything else? She goes, yeah, I need 2 packs of Marlboro Reds, not light, Reds. The woman goes, okay, be right. So she went and got those, came back, finished checking her out. She turns to me. She goes, can you believe that potato woman? And then as she's walking out with her bag, she goes, I'm good for the weekend. And she leaves. So that's the story. Now, what we got there was just a visual. We got a funny little story, a little exchange. So I wanted us to scratch a little bit deeper. She walks out into the parking lot. Sydney, what kind of car does she get into?
Oh, I'm seeing, I don't know names.
Or
So
does she get into a car? I mean, you know.
She has a moped that's so rusted, you can't even tell what the original color is.
She's on a moped? Okay. Yeah. So, okay, so she's, the one bag of groceries she positions in front of the moped?
In between her legs. She puts the little holes through both arms and holds on like this, and the plastic's just flapping in her chest.
Okay, all right. Did she wear a helmet?
No, God, no. Why?
We do have a helmet law out here, so she's taking a risk. The woman is taking a risk. There is a risk.
But she has goggles on.
It's attached. Oh,
hey, James, she
has goggles. I think they're pool goggles,
yes.
like swimming pool goggles.
All right. Okay. So she turns onto Ventura Boulevard, turns right, starts driving, and then she turns right on Van Nuys Boulevard and starts going deeper into the valley. Nancy, take us to her residence.
She doesn't live that far from her turn. And she goes down a driveway. And this amazing, huge house driveway. And she keeps going and she keeps going and she keeps going. And then she goes around the garage and through the trees and all the way to the back. And she keeps going and she's going and going. And there's like a little hut that's maybe once upon a time held wood or possibly just some, tools or something. But she's so far from the main house and it's been so far gone from these people's lives, they have no idea that that's where she's living.
She's a squatter?
Well, I don't know if that's what you call them in California.
It's the same thing. So,
but we don't know. That's just where she was going with the cat food and the vodka.
Okay. All right. So James, tell me about the cat food. Is it for cats or?
It is most assuredly not for cats.
Oh,
she has this lovely copper Jell-O mold that she has in her kitchen that she's preparing to load this cat food into, like it's a very, very fine pate.
Oh.
That she's going to mold and then chill and set up like it's a very fine pate that she's then going to serve to her guests over the weekend.
But okay, but she's in this shack.
Yeah. She's going to carry it up to the main house because she is most assuredly their housekeeper.
Oh.
But she's preparing it in the shack because she doesn't want them to realize that it's cat food, because she knows that their pretentious friends will talk about how wonderful the pate is, and she will get to sit there in the kitchen and laugh at them for being so stupid and pretentious.
Oh, I'm seeing a revenge storyline coming out.
Okay, so Sydney, how did she get to that shack? What happened before that? Where was she before? What was her life before?
I think that she used to be married to the man who owned the main house.
And now she's the housekeeper?
Yes, because he got a new wife. And that's their dynamic.
Is there some plastic reconstructive surgery involved? This is one of those areas where I would sometimes interject myself into Sydney's story.
Yes, she used to be married to him, and she is not mentally okay, and she's still obsessed with him, but he still loves her, and he keeps her around.
Oh,
And his new
confused, though. Why does the ex-wife accept this relationship and
new wife.
The new wife. I mean, the new wife.
She's not around. She travels a lot for work.
So she has no idea that she's there?
Yes. That's why she's in the shack.
This is the first time.
Well, I'm going to build on that just a little bit.
Yes.
Here's what happened.
Okay.
The ex-husband sends off on this world tour, this amazing, it goes from cruise to safari to all of this just because he's so tired of this ex-wife. I mean, this new wife. And he gets a call from his son. And he says, mother is in trouble again.
Can we back up a second? Instead of that, why don't we say that the ex-husband, he was on this world travel or there was some accident when he came back, he was blinded. He was blind. So he can't see that that's his ex-wife. And so the new wife doesn't know either.
okay.
Oh, well, then it becomes very mysterious. So
That's not where I thought you were going, Nancy. I thought you were going to go, he's been traveling and the new wife hires her without knowing who she is.
That's the same thing. But
I like that.
Oh, yes.
I like that.
Well, maybe he's just nearsighted or far.
Oh, so he's traveling. She needs some help. This woman applies. Unbeknownst to her, she was once married and she's still carrying a torch. Okay, so we're going to get rid of the mom's in trouble. I like this stuff.
Which is why she's making this tattoo.
It's why she's going to love to just destroy this woman's friends and their pretentiousness.
And you know what happened just now? We started one way and then we said, no, that doesn't quite work. And that happens all the time in my writing where I go, you know what? Psychologically, this doesn't work anymore for this character. It's like what I have a friend named J.D. Horn, and he actually told me one time that sometimes his characters start speaking to him and go, no, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. I'm not attracted to him. And I said, oh, I thought I was crazy. But yeah, I like this. So then it becomes a kind of a different tone.
Mm-hmm.
So he comes back. All right. Okay. So when he comes back, how does he react?
Would he recognize, I mean, is she so thin and gaunt and gray and pasty? Would he really recognize her immediately?
Okay. I love this. Okay. So she was an ingenue. She was this gorgeous actress that he married when they were very young. It didn't work out. And in her mental illness, she goes, he was the one that got away. And she figured out a way to go on one of those websites and find him.
And he is so pretentious that he, of course, would never look the help in the face. He just immediately says what he needs and boom.
Absolutely.
All right.
That's his wife's business. It's not his. She takes care. The help is.
All right. So now we've really started to kind of flesh her out. And I don't know if what we've noticed here as you're building that character, then we have a husband. What's his name, Nancy?
Elliot.
What's her name? What's the old woman who is good for the weekend? The drinking cat?
Gurney.
What's that?
Gurney.
I
see her on a gurney, and that's who she is.
Gurney. And what is and James? What is the new wife? What's her name?
Stephanie
or Tiffany?
Tiffany. That's two on the nose. Brittany.
Yeah, what?
Brittany. So with an eye.
Just pausing right there. Look at the world that we have started creating. Like you see the mansion. You see, you starting at Ralph's with this woman who is, by the way, probably a little bit racist as well.
Oh yeah.
If you look at the way she reacted, go, possibly mentally ill.
Though if we could go back all the way, we might have her take that bag of potatoes too.
Oh, she stopped by. She stopped by that thing and said, "Are these going in the trash?"
Exactly, because I have a use for them.
All right, I'll put them in my compost. And then she cuts out all of the bad places.
So we can do this with every character, with every incident, or whatever we see or do.
Yeah, you build, and you see, and you really start scratching deeper. And sometimes one character will open up a complete world. And like I literally started seeing, oh, this could be a play. This could be a play right now. Just because you've got the two spaces, this little shack, and then you've got the house. So you've got these, and you could easily create the Ralph scene right on the apron of the stage. Mm-hmm. So what you start doing is you start visualizing and you start seeing.
Yeah.
Or it could be a movie, who knows, called Gurney.
Well, my challenge was that once we develop the character, that each of us should come up with an individual story arc for this character and woman. So where do you see this going from here, Sydney?
Oh, I see a total Knives Out-esque story. Like a murder happens. New wife, she's killed.
Oh.
And we had the staff, we had the children, we had the blind husband. Is he blind? I see the detective coming in. That's what I see.
So you're like Knives Out. I hear what you
say. And then we have the Latino woman coming back in.
I like it.
As the detective, as the new housekeeper.
Or the old housekeeper, the one that she replaced.
To be there.
Trying to get her job back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I like Sydney's direction. Nancy, where would you go with this woman?
Oh golly, I would say that once she is in the house and she sees where the husband and the wife are going, actually, what she does is the husband gets poisoned. I'm going to say the husband gets poisoned. So now we don't know who it is. Could it be the ex-wife? Could it be the new wife? Could it be the ex-housekeeper who still doesn't have any potatoes? So it's going to be all of the women in his life were none of them are good.
Mm.
Del, would you go with the Knives Out direction that Nancy has also accepted? I wouldn't either.
You know what I would do? If I were writing this play, I love the idea that the husband is away and he doesn't know. And I would love these two women to forge such a bond and such a friendship that when he does come, and as we start unraveling that she was a part of his past and we see the manipulation, that we have to figure out what her mental illness is and how are we going to deal with that. So that's kind of I think that's where I would go. So it's more talking heads in my work.
And that's why you're the dramatist.
That's why I'm the amateur.
So I would probably go a bit dramatic too. I would focus on the party. I wouldn't have the husband come home during the party. I would have it go like George Bernard Shaw comic party. Like she gets her wish, and I would have like little scenes peppered in. Like there are cats. They're just not getting the cat food. The cat food is being served to the people. And I would have a little scene where she's like pouring vodka into the cat's bowl so that the cats are all drunk.
Oh.
And like, like she's really nutty. And I would probably then have her accidentally kill the ex-wife through one of her antics. And then the rest of the thing would be her having to cover it up.
Oh, nice. Now, okay, so I said that I thought I would do a play. Nancy, do you see this as a novel? Do you see this? I mean, what medium?
I probably see mine in the trash can. I would just start over.
Sydney probably gave us the most commercial. I mean, honestly.
I see film adaptation of a book.
I had an agent one time who said to me, Dell, I really need you to start thinking of ideas that could make money.
So I see mine as a Super Bowl commercial for KATFUD. Cat food, off-brand cat food.
Oh,
I love it.
so here's the thing. As beginning writers, if one is beginning or if one is experienced, should you come up with like a character log, a character description? Is that helpful?
It does help me, Nancy. I one of the things that when I wrote Southern Baptist Sissies, and I think I talked about this a little bit in a previous episode of ours here, I really separated all the boys so that I could understand exactly the psychology, their home life. And I just kept scratching deeper and scratching deeper. And then suddenly the last thing that I uncovered was the drag queen. Why Benny was able to leave the church so easily was because the church was a facilitator for his mother as a babysitter, and it didn't mean as much to him. So those kind of things just kept and kept pouring out of me. And once I remember, I mean, I literally the other day I was going through some old shit of mine, and I found the page where I started writing down the specifics of each one of those characters, and how Mark was the storyteller, and he thought too much, and thinking can get you into so much trouble, that kind of stuff. So yes.
Yeah, I personally, like, I don't always completely sketch mine out like some of the people in our group do, but I tend to keep like a spreadsheet where as I introduce facts about the character, I mark them down. And so, as I describe the character, I will put down their characteristics, or as there's a sort of psychological issue that comes up, I will mark that down so I can keep running track of it. And they kind of build themselves. So as they interact with each other, I keep notes about that, and gradually develop like a little thing that I'll go to. And like Sydney, I keep my binder of characters where I have like reference photos of people that I think look like them to help me describe them.
I think something else that's helpful with character development, and this is just from my attempts at it, is understanding your genre. So like for me with the romance novel, I understood that I'm going to need the romantic lead, the protagonist, I'm going to need a best friend, those kind of things. And that also helped me.
It informed your genre, informed a formula in a way. There's a little bit, they're formulaic a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, what about you, Nance?
Well, as the journalist, I'm totally unorganized. I don't have a spreadsheet. I don't keep, my notes, I just literally will jot down things as I'm thinking about them, or I'll say it into my phone. I'll do it like just a voice memo, and then not know where anything is and try to find it. And I'm flipping through pages just like a real reporter. So, but it works. At least it works for me. And I can't do it. I can't imagine doing it any other way. It'd be too organized.
Well, I think one thing that we all stumble on in our writing, and I always say, find your voice, find what works for you. And as you're listening to these, if anything works for you, use it. And if it doesn't, don't use it. Find your technique, your voice. How you do it is going to be different than the rest of us. And that's what's going to make you unique. And
I think the lesson here then that we have learned, go to the grocery store, watch everyone behind you and in front of you, go see if there's any generic products that maybe people are picking up, but then just expound. And
listen to how they speak. It's always, because that'll help you with dialogue too, which we'll get to in another one. As we wrap up, I want to ask each one of you, what is your favorite character in anything you've seen or watched? Well, that's the same thing, seen and watched, or read, or even that you've written. What is your very favorite character in film, television, novel?
Well, I will throw this back at you. If you had to look at your most recent published work that people were familiar with, who is the favorite character that you wrote? So you'd be thinking about that one. and we'll think about the other thing. I know mine. My favorite character, and it's one that I always come back to and think about in terms of a really complicated character, is Javert from Les Miserables.
Oh.
Everybody knows Jean Valjean or things like that, but Javert, I think, is the most interesting character in the entire book for me personally, just because he's so complicated with his backstory and his change of heart, and killing himself because he can't quite live with the change of heart that he's had.
Yeah.
Sydney?
Okay. I don't have favorites of anything. I kind of just have obsessions. I think it's my age. It's my generation. But right now my obsession, and has been for the past several years, is Midge Maisel. I love everything about her. Of course, everything, and it makes so much sense for me. But like, not just the character development, but just her whole world. That's my obsession. And the way that they built that character. Oh my God. I can go on.
I have so many characters that I love, and maybe it's because as a movie critic I've seen so many movies, and really it's almost like my favorite character is almost the last movie I've seen. But the one that just comes to mind just immediately is, I'm going to just say, I love the character of Aurora, Shirley MacLaine, in terms of, and I've mentioned, Larry McMurtry's words before, but there's just something, but I love Deborah Winger in that. I love Jeff Daniels in that. Oh my God, Jack Nicholson. So, that to me is like probably, those are my.
John Lithgow, that character was so brilliant that it's so rich.
But that just was the first thing that came to my mind.
Yeah.
So, I wonder if maybe we're not so much drawn to a certain character, but character types. Do you ever notice that about yourself? If you're watching something,
100%. When I think about, I mentioned Javert today, and I mentioned the devil last time, Satan. They're very similar characters.
Yeah.
The more fucked up, the better. For me, the more screwed up they are, the better. I want to say, I do want to play the game with y'all, someone else's character, not mine. I will. I will tell you what my favorite character is, but my favorite character is Michael Dorothy Michaels in Tootsie. I love the complexity of that character. I love how it was written. I love the depth and the romance of that character. And I love Dustin Hoffman's performance so much that I cannot stand it. Favorite character that I've ever written, I think, must be Brother Boy that played, because I love how funny he is, and I love how tragic he is. And I was writing on a chapter in the book that I returned to, and that's what I was writing today. So,
I love Brother Boy.
Yeah, he's fun.
Well, I guess to take a leaf from Nancy's book, I need to go get a refill.
All right. Thanks for joining us.
There you go. Okay.
And we will be back with more very soon.
And we're never going to be able to go to the grocery store the same way. Thank you.
That's right. We're the Storytellers. We'll see you next time.
Bye.